r/relationships. Snisketches7630 says, my 22F, mum 51 female, hasn't worked since I was born. My mum hasn't had a job since before I was born. She was a stay-at-home mum and looked after me and my sibling, 21F. 4 years this made sense, and she had the financial support from our family. However, after my granddad died in 2011, he left my mum a large sum of money. Because my mum didn't work, she slowly used it up, and once that happened things started to go downhill. I must have been in about 3rd or 4th year of high school when she ran out of the money. It's now becoming unbearable. My dad no longer lives with us and only visits every so often. He gives some money, but because we are no longer kids, he doesn't supply that much. I have no idea how my mum survives and pays for our house, as she does not work and just has benefits and God knows what else. Everything in the house is breaking. The tap in our bathroom, the oven, the washing machine, the microwave, and now the boiler. Everything needs fixed, and my mum can't afford it as she doesn't work. I work full time, my mum and sister don't. I help with the food shopping, but I refuse to help more as it just enables her to not get a job. Otherwise I would be paying digs, etc. She has threatened to sell the house as she can't afford it. However, this is because she doesn't work. This is my family home, and my granddad paid it all off. If we lose the house because of her selfishness, I don't know what I will do. I will have a grudge for life. We have all tried to get her to work, but she just won't. What can I do to make things better? How can I get her to work? I can't afford to move out on my own yet. Should I be helping more, or am I right to limit myself? Too long. Didn't read. Mum hasn't worked since I was born and can't afford to fix the boiler, etc. We might lose our house because of. Feynman 1097 says, your mother should sell her house and downsize. You and your sister should move out as adults. Get roommates or live together as sisters if you can't afford to live alone. 2 decades is a long time to be out of work. It can be overwhelming even thinking about going to work at that point. Especially if she has any health or mental health issues. There are a lot of challenges that come with entering the workforce at a relatively old age. This in no way serves as an excuse. She definitely needs to transition and needs help to transition from some sort of professional. You are thinking of it as the family home that you all have a part of, and you would be losing something financially if she were to sell it. Emotionally changing from the place where you were your whole life is a challenge for sure, but you personally would not be losing anything material by your mother selling the house. It is her house, not yours. If it is a choice of eventually having the house condemned for lack of upkeep or possessed by the council for failure to pay property/council tax and selling the house to give your mother a cushion while she transitions to the work world, etc., and having a smaller permanent place for her, the answer is clear. TMCHD says, your mother can't afford fixing the house because she is not working. She's in her 50s. She probably doesn't see herself working outside the house. Believe it or not, workplace can be rather ageist. I know this because I've seen how my father was having such a hard time finding work after he was laid off. And she also doesn't have any work experience the last 20 years, at least. You're more concerned about your mother when your adult sister should definitely be working. She's been a stay-at-home mother all her life, and now she has 2 adult children living in her house. One is only willing to pay for food, but not any other bills, while the other totally relies on whatever benefit your mother's on. Her selling the house is not a threat, it's a desperation. She's realized that her lifestyle is unsustainable with 2 adult daughters living in the house. Both of them not hacking it as much as she does, likely. By selling the house, she can have some dollar sign to live on. If you don't want to move out, and you'd rather the house stay in the family, then you and your sister should both work and start paying rent for living there. Most people will. pay rent even when renting a room. The rent can be used to fix up the house, then you can redecorate. Perhaps the house has extra room you can even rent out to make some dollar sign since these days, rent is insanely expensive. You have to have a roommate, or 2 or 3. The push to get your mother to work has to be gentler. I empathize with her because of my own mother. She was an engineer in another country when I was younger, but when she immigrated to the US, I was an adult then. She became a housewife, and now at her old age, she is so anxious about workforce. I remember how my brother used to criticize her, just like you do your mom, because she is very hesitant to join the workforce when our dad was struggling with dollar sign since he was laid off, but this was years ago. But I understand her hesitation, her anxiety. She did have a janitorial job at my dad's old office, but only cleaned once a week in the weekend because there's no other job she feels she can take, and when she did apply, they look at her age and no go. But my brother ended up paying rent to Hannah Machida says, as other comments have done, I don't want to accuse you of being entitled or say your mother is lazy, because I feel like I only have a small picture of everything. However, I will say that you need to take a step back and look at this situation objectively. You need to let go of the idea that this will be the family home forever unless you plan on buying it from her. As painful as it will be, it is her house and she can do with what she wants, especially if she has no money. You, on the other hand, need to really start formulating a plan to get out. How much money do you have saved up? Are there friends you can move in with? Can you move in with your dad? What about getting another gig? You have to differentiate between what is in your control vs out of your control and work from there. r/relationships. LRL 415 says, would it be tacky for me 23 female to ask my boyfriend 29 male to pay me back for something he agreed to split with me? My boyfriend and I have been dating for a little over 2 years. We just moved in together 3 months ago. We were in need of a new couch, so I picked one out and bought one about a month ago. Before purchasing it, I asked if he'd be okay with splitting the cost. Initially, he said yes. Or he'll just buy it, and I said no, I wanted to split it because it was something we'd both be using. I've also purchased a new dining room set, bar stools, rug, bed frame, and most of the other decor at our new place, which has not been cheap. I haven't asked him to pay me back for any of it though. Obviously, I also pay for half of the rent/utilities. I went ahead and purchased the couch, thinking he'd pay me back right after. He didn't. I felt too awkward bringing it up since then, but it was pretty expensive, and I would like the money back. He just got a new job making almost double what I make, so I know he isn't strapped for cash. This has been a problem a couple of other times in our relationship. I've booked 2 vacations for us before, which he said prior to me booking them that he was fine splitting the cost. Yet both times, I had to follow up at the very last minute, like right before our trip, and ask him to pay me back. He does pay for groceries and dinner when we go out to eat, which is pretty often. However, it's always his idea to go out, and I always offer to pay. He insists on paying. This makes me feel indebted to him, and guilty for asking him to pay me back for a piece of furniture. He also just bought expensive tickets to a football game for me, himself, and my dad for my dad's birthday present, his idea, again. We agreed to split it, and I sent him the money right away. My half was roughly what he owes me for the couch, so I want to ask if we can just call it even. How do I go about asking this without coming off as tacky? Talking about money in relationships makes me cringe, but I also don't like having to chase people to get them to pay what they agreed to pay. Too long. Didn't read. Boyfriend of 2 years agreed to split the cost of a new couch with me a month ago. He still hasn't paid me back, and I'm not sure if asking for it back at this point would be. Hanami's Fable says, Tacky? Who cares if it's tacky? It's your money. Magister XI says. Communicate. This is something you need to potentially deal with the rest of your life. Get it out of the way now. Quayfes says. I think you are overthinking it. He often pays, so it will pan out if you just don't send the money over next time. It seems like he is very chill about this money thing, and you are overanalyzing it. Look at this way, you guys are a team. You share a house, just start leaning into shared finances too. He often offers to pay, he makes more money. Just lean into it. Kirasan D says. So he is often paying for restaurants, he bought expensive tickets for your dad, and you are hung up on the amount for half an effing couch. If I was him, I would rethink this relationship. You sound like a miser and a bit calculating. And if you still insist to linger on this ridiculous issue, just ask him for the money. With human words. Like, we agreed to split the cost of this couch, you never send me your half, just thought I'd bring it up in case you forgot. Unfair_finger5531 says. I'm curious why you bought all those other items and then refused to allow him to buy the couch himself. Why? Slythe Wolf says. Babe, your half of the couch is $X. Can you let me know when you send it so I can double check to make sure it went through? Mcder Penchteen says. You shouldn't have to ask. You do need to ask. If this relationship is going to stand the test of time, you have to figure out your finances. If you two get married, you become one in all things, including finances. There is no my money and your money. It's our money. The only way this works is if both parties are on the same page and talk about money as adults. Thomats Edmund 84 says. This seems pretty red flaggish when you say you cringe around finances. Is that in general or with this person? There are multiple instances where he says he'll split costs but leaves you hanging. Is he aware you don't like chasing this stuff up? Why do you feel indebted to him when he pays for things that are his idea anyway? Niakumi says. I would just mention it offhandedly. Something like, by the way, you still owe me $X for the couch. Let me know when you'll get it to me so I can plan financially. I think it's totally reasonable if you told him, hey, since it's about the same cost, let's call it even. None of it would be tacky. It would simply be basic communication. No need to overthink. 3. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.